everyone, and welcome to another Stamp Chatter video. My name is Leanne and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator on the west coast of British Columbia, Canada. And today we're going to play around with Sweet Bugs and the Sweet Bugs dies that come together if you buy this as a bundle. And I'm also going to use the DSP that goes with this set. Now, I don't really have a whole lot to show you because it's such a cute set that I've used most of it. And most specifically, and this is what I absolutely love in the last few years about Stampin' Up!, is a lot of the characters that you find on the DSP, if it comes with the dies, can be cut out. This is, out of 2 sheets, this is all I have left. So today's card isn't going to be a lot of stamping. It's going to be done with all the characters that I've cut out of those 2 12 by 12s. And I have other dies that I'm going to use, and I'll let you know what those are, hopefully, as I continue crafting. All right, so I'm going to take a piece of old olive, and on the 8.5 inch side, I'm going to cut it down to 5.5. Now, my card is ultimately going to end up being 4 inches by 5.5. I could make it the typical 4 1/4 by 5.5, but I would have to use 2 sheets, and I didn't want to do that, so I kept it at 4 inches. So we're gonna now turn it, cut it at 5 1/4, and this should leave us with 5 3/4, which it does. So our card, I'm gonna put the 5.5 inches at the top because our card is going to be landscape, okay? So basically the scene is going to go in a window here that we're gonna cut out. So I want my score lines to go parallel to the 5.5 inch line. So I'm going to turn both pieces this way so they don't get mixed up. I will take the shorter piece and we will score that at 3/8. Make sure your cutter is out of the way. I'm sure I'm not the only one that accidentally cuts instead of scores. So now I'm doing 1 1/4 inches. So I've done 3/8 of an inch, 1 1/4, and we'll put that aside. Take the bigger piece, so this is 5 3/4. Okay, oops, yep, 5 3/4, and this is my 5.5 inch side. And again, we're going to do 3/8, 1 1/4, and then we're going to flip it and do 1/2 inch on the opposite side. And that will be our back. And the smaller piece is going to be our front. And just make sure that that was the 5.5 inch side that I scored on. Okay, so we'll take that out of the way. And we are going to, this is our front, so let's work with that first. And we're going to score, we're going to fold on those score lines. I don't often burnish my score lines, but I just find in this particular card that it works well to do that. So we're going to do that. I'm going to bring in some dies from the Branching Out Stamp Set Bundle. Now, the stamp set has retired. It's gone. You can no longer get it, as I'm looking for my dies. But you can still get the dies. Here we go. So we're going to use, I don't know what size this is in the scope of the dies, 3rd or 4th. I don't even know where it is. Anyway, yeah, okay. So here's the dies. This is the 3rd. That is the 3rd size up. I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to give a little guess at where I think the center is. And then I'm going to go cut that out on my cut and emboss machine. And while I'm there, I'm going to take the other 2 sizes that are I think the 4th and 5th size up, and I've already taped them. I've done this card many times. I've kept these 2 together, and we're going to cut out a frame by putting these 2 sizes together. All right, so I will go to the machine and I'll be right back. All right, so we have those cut out. Let's just poke this through. You can use obviously any frame that you have. You could even do a circle, I would think, big enough. I think an oval would be a fun shape for a card like this. This just happens to be kind of the only one that I have that layers nicely. So I chose this one. Okay, let's take this off. Put this aside. We're actually going to use this centerpiece a little later. There we go. Okay, so we have this frame and we're going to frame the front of our card. I mean, you could also emboss this. You could put DSP over it. About 1,000,001 different ways that you could do this. This is just the way we're going to do it. All right, so this part to me is kind of the trickiest, and I often get glue on my fingers too many times with this, doing this skinny little frame. It's probably a better way to do it. All right, so see, I've already got glue. But that's okay. We'll just use our glue eraser and get rid of all that. I need to pick this up and see if I'm straight. A little crooked. Okay. I think that's pretty good. I'll bring my rubber cement ball, get rid of some of that glue. I think we're pretty good. Okay, so make sure that your folds are at the top. Not that this is going to be the top of your card. This is actually going to be the bottom, so I shouldn't actually say that. Make sure this is at the bottom, okay? Fold it under so it has a little U shape like that. All right, now bring in the back piece and go ahead and fold along those score lines, making a U shape here on the bottom. And then that little 1/2" piece at the top, fold that in just like that. So what's going to happen is these eventually will, right, get sandwiched together. But first I'm going to put something on the inside. And you know, I think I'm going to use this fun little background scene, if I can get it to fit. Let's see. And I need about just under 4 inches. So I'm going to keep the bottom where it's at. And I will just cut this off here so I still have this pretty piece to play with one day. Put that aside. Okay, so I want it to be, like I said, just under 4 inches. So I'm going to do 3 7/8. And then 5 1/2 or just under. So I'm going to play around with this. Cut off a little bit there. Cut off. I'm not going to do exact, so I'm just going to go under a little bit. All right, that should fit. Let's see. This is the back of our card. So that's going to be our background for this diorama card. So let's put that in there. Again, make sure that this U is at the bottom. You don't want this to be upside down. Okay, that 1/2" flap is going to be your top. And let's glue this on. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to flip this over. This is my 1/2" piece again, and we're going to glue these two pieces together, my front to my back. I am gluing. I'm not using double-sided tape because I'm really terrible at lining things up, and I don't want to muck it up. And I just find if I've got a few seconds with the glue to move it around, then I get a better fit. But that's just me. You might be very good with the double-sided tape. I am not even good with glue sometimes. All right, put my finger along the top. Okay, so that is a good start to my diorama card. Our next step is to glue these two pieces together. So what I'm gonna do is flatten this out because I just find this so much easier, and I will put glue on that flap and then we will just pinch it together. That's just the easiest way I find. And my glue dries super fast, so I only have to wait a couple seconds for it to really stick. All right, so just close it. And if any glue has come out the top, just wipe it off with your finger. And so you should have this, okay? It's like a little tent card, only it has this little 3/8 of an inch rail, I guess. I don't know really what to call it, sticking up. And that's what you're gonna play around with when you make your scene. And I think it's really cute. Anyway, here is my little basket of leftovers of all the pieces that I've die cut out of the designer paper. Now there is a die cut for this one too, and the reason that I didn't cut it out was because, let me find my scissors. There they are. I actually don't want to cut it here. I want this to be purposely longer so I can stick some glue and it'll adhere to the bottom, kind of like that. So I'm gonna actually cut this one by hand really quickly because I was gonna do that earlier and I forgot. All right, now I can put a bit of glue on the bottom and take my tweezers and put that right here in the corner. Just like that. And what else do I have in here? Put those down for a second. I do really like either this guy, but I don't like that side. So I can either do this. I don't even know what that is. Is that a caterpillar or that's a worm before it's a caterpillar? I don't even know. I thought I had a bigger one in here. Maybe not. Maybe I was dreaming. That's also cute, but I'm not gonna do that one. Oh, okay. I thought I had the different one with the big leaf, but I don't see it, so I will go with this one. Okay, so we'll put this guy here. And so that I know where I want my glue to go, I'm gonna take a Post-it note. And I'm gonna put my Post-it note just in the corner of this frame where I don't want glue. And then when I turn this over, I know where to put my glue. I'm not really guessing. Hopefully that'll be enough to give this little guy some stability. So when I bring my Post-it note back, I'll just go back to making sure that I'm in that frame. And peel this off. The last thing you want is glue on the other side of that. You don't want this sticking to your project. I got glue on it again. Okay, so that's that. Now we're gonna put something in the background there. And what I'm gonna do, I think, are these little ants. So there's one ant, there's two. These were the last of my ants. I know there's one more in here somewhere. There we go. All right. So I'd like these guys to be walking in the background. And in order to do that, I'm going to take some acetate. I'm just going to cut this down to, I'm going to start at 3/4 of an inch. I'm not going to worry about the width so much. So I'll just bring my cutter in here, cut that down. Okay, so I have this piece. It's a bit dirty. You probably can't see that. I'm just going to spray it off camera here with some rubbing alcohol. It's got a bit of glue on it. Not the end of the world. You're not going to see it, but okay. So let's put that down. Let's take these little ants, and I'm going to bring in some adhesive dots. Put that on the back, and we're going to make a little, I'm going to put 2 so they adhere really well. 1, 2. Okay, this is the little guy. Let's line him up. So I'm going to put him kind of halfway on the acetate, halfway up. Take the next guy, put another 2 dots. And put him right next to him, like that. And the trumpet blower, we can put 1, 2, 3. Okay. You could use double-sided tape too. Just that when I order kits and paper pumpkins, and I get these sheets all the time and I never use all of it. So I have a plethora of it. Okay, so this will sit. I'm lining up those little feet on the line on this grid paper so that it's somewhat even like that. Okay, so now I have my, I hope that was on camera. I can't actually tell, but anyway. I have a little piece sticking out here, so I want as little as possible for this acetate to show. So I'm going to cut away at what I think might show. Okay, now the only other thing I have to do is make sure, I cut this at 3/4 of an inch, but I think it's too long. So my goal is to stick it back here, but I can't go further than this score line or it won't really fold properly. Like, it'll fold this way, but when I go to stand it up, it's going to interfere. So I'm actually going to cut off maybe 1/8 of an inch here, so that when I stick this down, so you see them walking by, there we go. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. So I just want to be at the score line. I don't want to be below it. And on this piece, I will use some double-sided tape. And then this will be good and secure. I have to say, that one little ant doesn't quite look like he's lined up like everybody else is. I don't think so. Let's see if I can move him. Am I being picky? I am being picky. I'm going to leave well enough alone because these are my last ants, so it is what it is. I can just move this around until it lines up, so that's good. Okay, here we go. Isn't that cute? See how they're sort of walking on top of that. I wish I had a grass. I do have those scissors that cut 3 or 4 layers at a time, or straight lines, and kind of makes it look like grass, but anyway. That's kind of cute. There are lots of grass dies out there. I just don't have one. Okay, so we can embellish this more, but you get the gist of the 3D card. What else do I have in here? Got a little bug. So this would be cute too if you want the bee to fly. You can do the same thing as just take some acetate, a small piece, maybe like not even 1/4 of an inch, and attach it and then glue it underneath, and then it'll look like it's flying. But we're not going to put the bee on today. We're just going to leave it like that. I might have some mushrooms in here. Nope. Here we go. That's not a mushroom, but it is another flower. I think I'll stick maybe back here. Just give it a little more. I also think this was the last little flower knoll that I had on my designer paper. Like I said, I have used this well. I've got my money's worth for sure on this one. It's been so cute. Again, I mean, one could do this too, right? Anyway, you could keep going forever. It's a lot of fun actually to sit and just make a little scene, but that's what we're gonna do for now. I will bring in a stamp and my Mossy Meadow, and we'll just do Spread Joy is what we'll do. So let's take some white cardstock. Probably could have stamped that the other way, and that's not very good, is it? Ugh, don't like that. Let's do it this way. Better, but something's going on here. I think I've got, oh, see, there's a piece of something on top of my stamp. It wasn't very clean, so let's do that one more time. There we go. Let's find that little piece. So this little piece here, this comes from the die set. I call it Just Because, but it's called Words of Beauty, and there's 3, and it does say Just Because. That's why I call it Just Because, but it has these 3 word dies, I guess, kind of labels, which I really liked. So this fits perfectly. So I'm gonna go cut that out and I'll be right back. Okay, so there's that. I'm gonna peel that off. Get some scrap Mossy Meadow. Ooh. All right, get that word straight. Just glue this on. Now, usually I just eyeball this and cut it out, but I'll show you a little tip if you want to get it somewhat perfectly cut all around it. So sometimes I stick this in my cutter, and you know what? I'm just going to remove a bunch of fuzzies inside the track here, which doesn't give you a very smooth cut. There we go. All right, so I'm going to bring it down to the, let's see if I have room here. Here we go. I'm going to bring this down to the bottom. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to line up this edge of the white cardstock, which is a little bit crooked, but I'll try and make sure it's straight, with the left side of this open track. Okay, so we have a left side, a middle that's open, and a right side. So I'm going to line up this with the left side so that it is, I don't know if you can see it. I can see it's lined up perfectly, and now I'm going to just bring it to the left ever so slightly so it's just barely tucked underneath the left side. And I'm gonna do that on all sides. And then I get kind of a nice border. One more side. And I'm sure this would work on any cutter. You just got to play around with it. Just like that. I am going to trim the sides. I'll just do that by eyeball, although I could do the same. All right, just like that. Let's bring our card in. And we're gonna just, I think, stick it up at the top here. So let's use a little glue. Make sure that that's the top. And stick this up here. Spread joy. Maybe I could have centered that. Hold that down. Oh, I'm using my little rubber cement ball a lot today. And there you have it. A really cute diorama card done with the Sweet Bugs stamp set. And really a fun card to make. I've made a plethora of them already because I'm in a swap. So this is what's going out for my swap this month. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. And we will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.